Hey, how's it going everybody? This is the Codebreaker and today we're going to be talking about a game that directly impacted my life, Runescape. Runescape is my generation's introduction to hardcore gaming. The game that gave you the skills needed to beat any RPG. Runescape is a one in a never gonna be again. This game was truly breathtaking back in the day. To this day, I smile when I think about Runescape. I have so many fond memories that will live with me forever. This game was able to impact your life in-game and when you weren't even playing it. For example, it brought my classmates closer together. We all played it and it became a focal point of the friendship group. It taught you about how economies work, how to value money. It also taught you that working hard will get you what you want, and it definitely improves social skills. There are very few companies that I truly admire. Most companies to me are just shortcut taking, money grabbing leeches. But Jagex is a company I will always hold dear in my heart. They're a far from perfect company, but you can't deny that Jagex are a player first company. In this video, I'm going to feed you all some nostalgia, reminisce on the days of old, talk about my personal experience and contemplate the question, was RuneScape the greatest game ever made? If you are enjoying the video so far, please feel free to like, share and subscribe. And if you are really enjoying the video, hit the little bell icon to stay notified. Now that's over with, let's suit up, let's take a deep breath, let's break the code and let's get straight into this. I began playing this game when I was like 9 or 10. Most kids were living out their fantasies with a smoking hot babysitter that just sat on the phone all night to their boyfriend. Me and Cobro though, we had something far superior. We had Tommy and Jason. These guys sat us down one day and introduced us to RuneScape. We were instantly in love with this game. The obsession we actually had with the game was unreal. Me and Cobro have said in the past that no game has come close to the addiction we had for RuneScape. Not World of Warcraft, Call of Duty, nothing was as addictive as this little diamond that we call RuneScape. RuneScape was the first open world game I was introduced to. For the first time in my life, I was playing a video game that didn't dictate the progression or anything like that. RuneScape gave the player the choice to do whatever they wanted. If you wanted to be a great warrior, then you could do that. If you wanted to just cut wood and burn the logs, you could do that too. RuneScape caters to all needs and desires that you could want from a video game. You basically wrote your own story. Soon enough, me and Codebro went to school and told tales of our adventures in this wonderful new game. I wrote down the website onto pieces of paper and passed on these ancient scrolls to my classmates. Soon, all the boys in our school were playing this game. I don't think there was a single day where RuneScape wasn't spoken about. It could be about anything such as quest help, tips, stories of your travels, literally anything. What made all this possible was that RuneScape could be played on literally any computer. It didn't require 50 gigabytes RAM with ultra performance, extreme graphics cards, pow pow! It was just a simple game. It required a basic computer that could turn on and an internet connection. And best of all, this game was free. Kids could literally just log in and play. Parents must have loved that. Instead of spending £40 on a video game for the PlayStation, you could just let them on the computer and let them play this game for free. When you look at the game now, you can't deny that the graphics are just hilarious. But back then, we didn't care about that. We were just enthralled by the new possibilities from this game. The graphics are legendary though. I mean, come on, think about it. You can go into any game shop or convention and show people a screenshot of the game and I guarantee 99% of people would know exactly what game it is. The combat system is simple as hell. Back in the day you had teleport runes, bag of food, your gear, you'd click on the target and then your character would just engage in a tense duel. Some of the fights would go on for literal minutes. Now though, Jesus. People have really taken the combat system to the next level, to the point that certain parts of inventory have specific items. I've got to commend that effort from the community though. RuneScape is a simple game. Literally, just click and go. This game could be very grindy at times, but to be honest, that was never really an issue to me. Whatever skill you were doing, except runecrafting, man, I hated that skill. Whatever skill you were doing, there were always players around you could just talk to. I remember one time I was mining pure essence. Bear in mind that back in the day, pure essence went for, 100 GP each, and I was only going to mine 2k or so. But I struck up conversation with another guy there, and we just spoke for hours about our experiences with the game, what we were doing, what the plan was after we were mining. Once we had both agreed we'd been mining too long, we added each other, stayed in contact. I ended up mining well over 3.5k essence in the end, but as you can see, the grind can be made easier by the social aspect of the game. Don't get me wrong, not all grinds were like that, but there was always a chance you'd meet someone and the grind would just go that little bit quicker. Most kids today don't have the patience to play RuneScape from 15 years ago. I used to spend hours just to get one level up. That wouldn't fly now. Today, you've got to be able to get 50 levels in one round of Search and Destroy. Back then, you really had to work for it, but the rewards were worth it. I remember finally hitting 40 defense and wearing my first piece of rune armor. I felt pride. That feeling when you finally achieved what you set out to. The grind then feels worth it. You felt that you earned that reward. Unlocking new abilities and equipment gave you a real sense of accomplishment because everything takes time in RuneScape. I think what made RuneScape so amazing back then is that me and my brother had absolutely no idea how to do anything. We did things in the most inefficient ways possible. For example, I wanted to level up my magic once. So instead of alking or teleporting, I went into White Knight's castle in Falador, looped the knights behind a table and leveled my mage that way. I wasn't even splashing, I was hitting these guys with Earth Blast, Fire Blast, you name it. I was going balls to the wall against these knights. Looking back on it now, I'm like, Jesus, that cost a hell of a lot more than it should have and took way longer than it should have. But that's what made it great, you know, you were in the unknown. None of us kids really knew how to tackle the game, how to make money fast, how to level fast. It created talking points in our social circle. We would all pass on knowledge that we picked up on our travels. I think what attracted people to RuneScape is that you could do whatever you wanted. There was no real pressure to do things in a specific order. I mean, yes, some things required certain levels, but you only achieved those levels if you wanted to. Granted, the game has quests, but you didn't have to do them if you didn't want to. I mean, further down the line, it becomes a lot more beneficial to your character as some quests unlock the ability to use higher level gear such as Rune Plate Body, Dragon Longsword or Ancient Magic, but it still wasn't essential. You could still make it without quest rewards. Whenever I logged onto RuneScape, I never knew what I was going to do. I just rolled with the punches. Maybe I'd spend an hour chopping wood, then go pick some flax, then spin it to bowstrings, then do a quest. Who knew? That was amazing. You were just flexible. The flexibility of this game is probably the reason it had the shelf life it did and is still adored by millions of people to this day. This aspect of the game was complemented by the sheer size of the world. Even as a free player, there were so many places you could go to. You had the OG, Lumbridge, the desert of Alkarid, Wall Street in Falador, and if you thought your character needed a break, he could take the ferry to Karamja and chill out on a beach resort with respawning bananas. There was so much variety. The game offered literally every kind of landscape. You had snow, desert, regular medieval cities, Viking-inspired towns. You even had a freaking battlefield you could go to. This game had it all. Each town or city had something that made it special. Alkarid had the Duel Arena. Varrock had the entrance to the wilderness. Falador had the stock exchange. Come on, we all remember the Falador Park days. We all remember exactly where people were buying or selling Dragon Chain. Each city looked different. There was no copy and paste job. You can tell the developers really tried to make everywhere have its identity. Falador had the White Knights. Barbarian Village had, well, barbarians. Alkarid guards called you infidel if you attacked one of their own. Nothing felt repetitive. Everything was different. The The NPCs were different in each town, excluding the owners of the general store. Some of these NPCs were absolutely hilarious. You had Romeo in Varrock, the two penguins pretending to be sheep, and who could forget the wise old man in Draenor Village and his party hat that he had legitimately bought. Yeah. The NPCs had character. I would have loved to have worked on the NPCs just to hear the conversations about how each NPC would act. If you were fearless, a bit of a maverick, then you could venture into the wilderness, or the Wildy as we called it. The Wildy was an entire section of the world dedicated to PvP. It was a risky part of the world. If you died, you lost everything. The only way you could keep anything when you die is by not being skulled, and you kept 3 items. But even then you still lost something. I used to love the Wildy. Me and Codebro would venture there all the time. Amulet of Strength, Ring of Life, potions, cheap armour, and to top it all off, we rolled out with the DDS. There were times we made a hell of a lot of money. Other times we would constantly die, but it was still fun. You would see clans at the hill giants in the Wildy ready to tear you a new arsehole and take all your gear. Me and Codebro were snakes, I must admit. We were always playing in the same room, so we had the perfect communication. One thing we used to do was separate at the Wildy. Codebro would ask a random person to team. They would say yes. Codebro and his victim would then both attack me. This was to skull the unsuspecting noob. There'd be a skirmish here and there. I would then lure them a little bit deeper, hit the snare, me and Codebro hit that DDS special attack, and they died. Yeah, it was snaky as hell, but hey, we got the wins doing it. I have absolutely no remorse for doing it. In fact, I still laugh about it to this day. The Wildy was more or less a casino. The better gear you risked losing, the better chance you had of getting better gear from other players. But if you died, well. Plus, who can forget the music of When You Died in RuneScape? That tune is just iconic in its own right. I have a confession though. Whenever someone killed me in the Wildy or the Duel Arena, I would call them a noob even though they just effed me up. Good times. Questing in this game was actually really enjoyable. Whilst the game didn't have a plot or story to follow, there were certain quest chains that did provide a story. You had the Humans Against Monsters questline, which I must admit I really did love. You had the Gnome storyline as well that also had a great story. The questing to this day can stand toe to toe with some of the best games in history. They weren't fetch quests or kill X number of monsters. The quests in RuneScape had substance. You could be the cliche hero and slay a dragon, help a monk and lay a restless ghost to peace. You could become one of the White Knights of Falador, play through the legendary story of King Arthur and Excalibur. You can even settle a fashion dispute between goblins. The point is, the questing always offered something different. The NPCs actually contributed to the quests. The tasks you were given were creative, and most importantly, the stories were easy to immerse yourselves in. I remember staying up until 6 AM doing the Humans Against Monsters quest chain because I loved it that much. I didn't even realise the time until the sun come through the curtains. I mentioned earlier that certain quests gave you the chance to unlock specific items and abilities, and I must say the quests that had rewards like that were often the best quests. I loved Dragon Slayer, I loved the Lost City, I loved Monkey Madness. I loved Monkey Madness that much I actually went out of my way to craft every Gree possible. Back in the day, I wasn't aware of websites such as RuneHQ or Tippit. We didn't have YouTubers like Slayer Music. So if you wanted to complete the quests, you had to figure them out for yourselves. You had to pay attention to the dialogue. Sometimes I would have to take my questions to the lunch table at school, speak to my peers to see if they had any knowledge that could be passed down. And on occasion, I had to stand in the middle of a busy bank and pay people for their knowledge on the quest. The fact I didn't know how to complete the quest just made the game all the more immersive. You became compelled to beat the quest. You just knew that Jagex wanted you to play their best content and incentivize players by offering new abilities and gear, and it was worth it. Don't get me wrong, you did have some bad quests such as Desert Treasure, but the ability to use ancient magics was so good that it didn't matter that the quest just was really poor. I'm going to speak about the present content shortly, but Dragon Slayer 2 is the best quest in the game ever, hands down, no debate. The amount of skills in this game is just insane. To put it into perspective, the game we all know and love, Elder Scrolls Skyrim, has a total of 18 different skills you can level. RuneScape has 23. 23 different skills. All these skills were unique and had in their own way levels of enjoyment. Some skills are incredibly enjoyable, such as farming. Some skills were just hell and god awful, like rune crafting. And some skills were just there to see who had the biggest dick, such as construction. You were spoilt for choice with skills, and they catered to literally everyone. I met players that had really low combat levels, but they had huge money stacks because they dedicated their time to skilling. I actually learnt more about the game from the people that focused on skills rather than combat. The point is, no matter what you wanted to do, you could do anything and you would find it enjoyable. You could chill out fishing at the base of White Wolf Mountain or Barbarian Village with so many people you could talk to. You could meet people whilst teleporting to boost mage. Whatever skill you chose to do, there was always the opportunity to socialise while doing it. I do wish though that I knew how important Slayer was back then. If I only knew what I know now, I'd have been king of the school. I would have ruled with an iron fist. My subjects would kneel before my greatness. Anyway, some skills were grindy, I admit. I found thieving the least enjoyable skill, but they all had value, whether that be for future quests or as a way to make money. RuneScape back then had some pretty dope minigames you could do as well. Alkarid Duel Arena became a place that me and Codebro could settle differences, test out new gear, or it was somewhere I would go to stake money. The Duel Arena was a great place back in the day. Sometimes I'd actually go up onto the arena and watch other people fight. It had its own little community. You would start to recognise the names there. You had the Mage Arena, where you could unlock the powers of the gods. You can unlock the spells of Zamorak, Saradomin and Guthix. These spells were powerful as hell in the lower mid-range PvP. I got pwned once by 2 mages using Flames as Zamorak. It was hella infuriating back then. The Mage Arena, it was a fun little mini-game, mini-quest, whatever you want to call it. My first time doing it, I didn't know about the bank chest or the lever, so I had to world hop to a low populated world, had Codebro as my escort and ventured from Rargh all the way to the Mage Arena. God, I really did do things in the most inefficient way. Who can forget Castle Wars? The place you could sell your holy and unholy symbols for stupid money because people wanted to be a bunny or an imp in the lobby. It was a fun little mini game, I must say. Me and the guys from school spent so much time here grinding out the tickets for the decorative gear. We actually believed it was amazing and was the best gear we could get at the time. Sometimes we would be on opposing teams and go against each other. We used to get murdered though. I would get ice barraged as soon as I looked at the opposing castle. I was literally level 50 or 60 trying to capture the opposing flag, running away from people level 100 plus. I would lead them to the good old stepping stones, hoping to beat them. My team must have hated me, but I did feel gangster as hell if I ever captured the flag. I can see why it isn't so popular these days, as it really is wasting money for no reason. But back in the day, God, I had some good old memories here. RuneScape, like the real world, had its own myths and legends. Some that I remember were that spinach rolls were ultra rare and were worth millions. 99 smithing meant you could trim armor. Lost a full set of adamant armor because of that myth. I heard that you could wear goblin armor. The Ring of Wealth actually gets you better drops. From experience, I'm telling you, that is a load of bullshit. I know this was my favourite one actually. 99 thieving meant you could steal from other people's banks. I heard a future update would bring mounts to the game like horses. There was a secret way you could get a party hat from the wise old man in Draenor village. Whilst these were all lies, I do look back on my time playing and these rumours actually impacted the way I played. I did try and achieve 99 smithing to make trimmed armour and be mega rich. I sure as shit tried to get 99 thieving to rob Zezma's bank. I didn't get far, but I tried. Zezma, the people's champion, the god himself. Zezma was the first video game celebrity in the world. This crazy guy achieved max skills in everything. He was #1 on the leaderboards. Everyone knew who he was. I saw him once in Lumbridge and like everyone else that was following him, I was begging for free stuff. I never got anything, but we all knew that one person who was apparently given 1 mil from him.
Oh my god, it's fucking
The economy in RuneScape was extremely powerful. The players dictated the price of the items. Halloween masks and party hats were just ridiculous. These were originally event items, but if you saw someone, you knew that they were rich as hell. The dragon chain body will always be the ultimate item in my head. This bad boy was the most sought after item in the game. If you ever saw a player wearing that, you knew they meant business. I once saw a player with dragon chain and a red Halloween mask. Back in the day, that was a big deal. You think the twisted bow is a big deal today? You should have been around back then. The economy was that powerful. The items and accounts were actually worth real money. To this day, people are willing to use real money to purchase accounts and items. Some items I can understand the frustrations. Some items do have stupidly low drop rates. I would never pay my own money, but I can definitely understand the reasoning behind the people that choose to. The music to me though is just timeless. To the people watching this video who haven't touched the game since like 2006, I bet if I play certain tracks, not only would you remember the music, but you would know where you would hear it as well. Everyone had their favourite pieces of music, and what I love was that you could change it and pick your favourite songs wherever you were. As a kid, no matter where I was, I'd be blaring that Al-Karib music like there was no tomorrow. I know the music is such a small part of the game, but like the visuals, everyone recognises it. During the making of this video, I was listening to certain bits of music, and it really made me smile. I sat there and just let the old memories come flying back. As with all online games, you have the scumbags. The ones who will try to scam you with the "I can trim armor" line, or the people that just try to hack you. I don't think that's a fault of Jagex though. Every game has players like this, and the report system for the most part did work. But the problem is with the bots. It's ridiculous. Don't get me wrong, most of the time I don't even care what other players do as long as it doesn't affect me. The bots bothered me. Some of the resources in the world had a lengthy respawn time, and when you see bots just take over all the local resources, it was just disheartening and damn frustrating. You could report the bots, but you just know it didn't bother the account owners as it didn't impact their main accounts. Jagex could have done better on that front. You had the scumbags like me that would lure you into the realty and just PK you for all your hard-earned items. I regret nothing. You had the scumbags who would deliberately lead you down dangerous paths while claiming to help you. Sometimes it was frustrating as hell, but it taught me valuable lessons. It made you more aware. Me, I never made the same mistake twice. I never believed that people could trim armour after I lost my full set of adamant armour. You could have some pretty amazing adventures on the game. Every day at school, you would hear about other people's adventures. Me and Codebreaker would talk every night about this game. It became such an important part of my life. A part of my life I really hope I never forget. A couple years back, I came back to RuneScape at the recommendation of a friend. I honestly just expected to PK for a bit until I got bored. But it didn't happen like that. I was instantly drawn back into the magic of RuneScape. The game had changed so much since when I was a kid. And you know what? It changed for the better. The game became more like modern RPGs. There is raiding. The combat system, while similar, it does have tactical elements now. The quests are insane. I mentioned Dragon Slayer 2 earlier. I won't spoil it, but it was one of the best quests I've ever done in any game. The ending really hit home for me as well. If you know, you know. I really did enjoy my comeback to RuneScape. It has come a long way since 2006, and I'm glad Jagex is still going strong. For me, RuneScape died in the year of 2007. They removed the wilderness. I won't ever forget the day I logged in to see these new changes. It was horrible. Even though I played a little bit longer, I knew deep down on that day that the game was over. I knew that my time on RuneScape was coming to an end. Some of my friends quit the game that day. Some friends quit the same day I did, but none of them stayed. Once we all stopped, RuneScape wasn't brought up in the friendship group again. It was around the age where we became more interested in romantic pursuits. But we all drifted apart at that time. You could say that the day RuneScape died, our friendship group died. It begged the question, was RuneScape holding our friendship together? At the time, you could say it did. Today, I am friends with some of the guys, and sometimes we have a laugh and smile about the RuneScape days, but we have never been as strong. There was mass protest by the players when this happened, and I understand that Jagex was doing this in an attempt to stop scamming and cheating, but the method, it was extreme. It punished players that did nothing wrong. Most companies make stupid decisions for financial gain, but Jagex actually made a decision they believed was in the best interest of the players. Whilst I understand they care about the community, I am shocked that no one in the decision making process thought, we will kill our player base if we do this. Eventually, RuneScape died. Doing this part of the video actually, it really hurts me because these changes did just come out of nowhere at the time. No game has captivated or immersed me the way RuneScape did. Some games have given a good try, but I don't think that any game will impact me the same way that RuneScape did. I will always have fond memories of the game. I'll always remember having snow days, getting sent home from school and playing. I'll remember the stories from the friendship group. I'll remember PKing with Codebreaker. I'll always look back on those times and smile. RuneScape was the game that developed me into a gamer. It's the game that introduced me to the RPG genre. It's a game that will forever hold a place in my heart. I am glad that RuneScape is in a healthy state to this day, and I do hope that the 8-year-olds of today can share similar stories when they grow up. I started this mission wondering, is RuneScape the greatest game ever made? The answer is no, it's not the greatest game ever made. But to my generation, I think it was the most impactful. More so than World of Warcraft, more so than Call of Duty. RuneScape set the foundations for future gaming companies and developers. Would games like Dark Souls or The Witcher 3 be as big in the RPG genre if not for RuneScape? That's a question for the philosophers. RuneScape may not be the greatest game of all time, but my god, it's definitely up there with the best, and it certainly impacted more people than any other game. I asked some people from the community what RuneScape meant to them back in the day, and this is what they had to say. So, that was my take on RuneScape. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share and subscribe to join the Codebreaker army and click that little bell icon to stay notified. And remember, you never truly quit RuneScape, you're only AFK. This is the Codebreaker signing out. See ya.